As calls grow louder for the impeachment of President Yoon Suk-yeol, attention falling on the National Assembly. Opposition lawmakers are accusing Mr. Yoon of violating his constitutional duty and committing a crime akin to treason. A two-thirds majority is required in the parliament to pass an impeachment against a sitting president. That is 200 votes. But as it stands, the opposition and smaller parties are 8 votes short of that threshold. To make up that number, they'll need to lean on members of Yoon's People Power Party. Some lawmakers from the ruling party have expressed a strong objection to his declaration of martial law. It's unclear if these same lawmakers would actually vote on opposition lines. If Parliament does vote for impeachment, President Yoon will have his powers suspended, and Prime Minister Han Duck-soo will step in as acting leader. Yoon will then face a trial at the Constitutional Court. At least 6 out of 9 judges have to vote over no more than 6 months to confirm his impeachment. Once confirmed, a new election must be held within 60 days. But should President Yoon choose instead to resign, an election will also have to be conducted within that same time frame. And for more insights, we're joined by B.J. Kim. He's affiliate professor at Hankook University of Foreign Studies, joining us live from Seoul. Thanks for joining us, Professor Kim. 192, that is the votes we know that the opposition coalition has right now, if it wants a vote on impeaching President Yoon. That's 8 short. Do you think they will find that 8 votes?
I think it's quite likely at this moment because we've been hearing all these words of dissatisfaction and even anger from President Yoon's own People Power Party. So, there is a considerable likelihood of seeing several of the members of People Power Party actually crossing the line and joining the vote for impeachment. So it is not a remote possibility. It's quite a strong possibility the way I said, getting enough votes at the National Assembly to get the impeachment process going.
If you could confirm this for us, because earlier in this evening, there were suggestions, rumors that there were splits within President Yoon's cabinet. So, for example, the defense minister, now he has resigned and he's clearly in the same faction, I suppose, as President Yoon himself. Other ministers, where would they stand in terms of voting for or against impeachment?
Ministers, unlike other countries, here in Korea, ministers are not necessarily politicians. Some of the ministers come from the National Assembly, but most of the ministers that I can think of at this point are not parliamentary members. So where they stand doesn't really matter. And what we know is most of the members actually in the cabinet have turned in, probably what I know, all of the members have turned in their resignation to the prime minister. But of course, president will have to approve it. So currently what we are seeing within the cabinet itself is the members willing to resign and taking no stance in terms of the political spectrum of supporting or not supporting president's, impeachment.
Did this declaration of martial law yesterday evening come as a surprise to you, given that there have been rumors since at least September that this might have been in the works?
The thing is, we've been hearing the rumor, but the rumor was such a kind of like a nonsense until last night, except very small number of people. I don't think the serious political analysts saw it as a possibility because we still, including myself, do not have an explanation in terms of how the thinking process went in the side of president's mind and his head. Of reaching the decision, declaring the martial law. So yes, indeed, the rumor we've been hearing it, but it was a far-fetched one. The way most of us saw it, and because we could not rationalize any plan, strategy, or scenario that President Yoon could actually use this impeachment here in Korean politics as a way of getting his way. Indeed. Well, what we are saying here is that this country, perhaps more than any country that we know, people power, what we scholars often call the popular sovereignty, is the strongest form of power in the country. A lot of people argue that actually people power, what people feel and how people sympathize with and stuff, is above the law itself. And in this country, where for several decades we've been kind of pushing the dictators out of their offices one by one through popular protest, thinking about martial law, imposing martial law from the top and controlling the population based on the will of one person president is something totally unthinkable. That's why I think we've been thinking about this rumor or scenario of martial law, use of partial martial law as an extremely unlikely method. And we still don't understand why President Yoon actually chose to use it.
Making this even more difficult to understand, President Yoon Suk-yeol was in fact the prosecutor general who led the case that brought down another president who was brought down in 2017, that's Park Geun-hye. You would expect a prosecuting general leading a case like this, first to be extra sensitive to, I suppose, what can happen if you are less than clean in government, and also he would have been extremely rational to lead that position, don't you think?
Exactly. I think that reminder of his previous position, when he was involved with impeachment Park Geun-hye itself, is a very important reminder for all of us. And we're hearing some allegations, and I think to some people it seems to be making sense. Looks like that is allegation that actually, as a jurist, as a profession, his former profession, he was not actually possibly abiding by the Constitution itself. There is a wording in the Constitution that specifies the condition for imposing martial law, and what he did last night, there are arguments out there, was not exactly fitting with those wording, indicating a possibility of violation of Constitution itself, and that's pretty hard to imagine for a person who's been practicing law throughout his whole lifetime. So the puzzle remains big time in the minds of Koreans.
A final question, and you can. I'm not certain if this is quite as clear. Of course, on paper it looks like it would be very evident. It's unconstitutional if the president uses measures affecting the executive and the judiciary. That is allowed under martial law, but not the legislature, which footage from last night suggests was happening under martial law with President Yoon. So on that, would you say it's very clear that this imposition of martial law exceeded constitutional boundaries? Final question.
I'm not in a position to call it clear or not, because it could be debated here. But some people, I've been hearing some people making such accusation based on their understanding of the Constitution. It's a matter of a possible debate among the legal scholars. But what we know clearly is the judgment he has made, considering all different variables that just the ordinary citizens are aware of, and political analysts myself are aware of, don't fit together here. And so we need more explanation down the road, days after, perhaps from now, the explanation about what actually was going on in his head. Because we would, as ordinary people here, would think that he should have had kind of scenarios about end game, image of the end game of the process he started. But people, it's difficult for all of us to imagine what it was that he was planning on, and whatever he was planning on don't seem to fall in the proper places as a kind of set of ideas that could be actually practically implemented. So what I can think about is lots of political aspects where his wife has been accused by allegation of wrongdoings, and then National Assembly was continuously taking motions to initiate investigation on her case and so on. So I'm quite sure there are lots of personal side and emotional side involved here as well as first part of his announcement last night, where he was going over all these things that National Assembly, that's controlled by the opposition party, has been doing to damage his government, not initiating laws and cutting the budgets, and then continuous actions that the National Assembly was taking to attack his presidency. So if you add up those wording together with his personal side, possible personalized side anger, perhaps eventually we could come up with an answer or explanation about why he had to reach that decision last night.
We will need some time to rationalize that action taken by President Yoon Suk-yeol. Thanks so much for that, BJ Kim, affiliate professor at Hankuk University of Foreign Studies.